Welcome to She Loves the Grid, where we discuss all things F1. Whether it's happening on the track, in the paddock, or beyond the grid, we'll talk about it all. Surprise! Welcome back to She Loves the Grid. So for people who are watching, I'm Claire.
I'm Diane.
And we're sitting side by side for the first time ever.
Yay!
Yay! Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's our first recording together live.
That's kind of crazy.
It is crazy.
We were going to do it in Italy and we didn't.
Yeah, it just didn't happen. Yeah. Oh, well, Barcelona and I couldn't go, and then Italy, and we just got busy.
Yeah.
Didn't happen. Here we go. And what a crazy week for it to happen.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So how was your week? I know part of it. We were together.
I know. That was good. That was really good. Yeah.
It's been good. So let's just
It's been a week.
Let's just get to it. So, I mean.
Oh my gosh. Lando.
I
mean, we have to start with Lando. This was a busy week, Miami, with F1 Academy, and it's a sprint weekend. But Lando, we have to talk about Lando and his first win. Yes.
So exciting.
My gosh. I was up screaming, and I don't even know at what lap did I say to you, Lando could actually win this. And I started just, please let Lando win. Please let Lando win. Just
I know.
Periodically.
We were just like going crazy. We were going crazy, and we were just like, I think we were both like, don't jinx it. Don't jinx it. Oscar, don't pass. Like everything that we could do to just not have anything break.
Yeah. I didn't even care if the Ferraris won. I just wanted Lando to win, and we kept randomly shouting out how far ahead he was of Max. Like, it's 5 seconds now. It's 5.2 seconds.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I can't believe it. So I show our fun little slides we have.
Yes. Okay. Go to our YouTube page if you're not on our YouTube page, because Claire pulled some of the best pictures of Lando afterwards.
So not only the race winner, but he was driver of the day.
We voted for him for.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. He won like 41%, I think, so almost half the vote.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Who didn't want Fernando? Who didn't want Lando? Who didn't want Lando to win?
I know.
The whole world wanted Lando to win.
All the drivers wanted Lando to win. I mean, like you saw the quote. I mean, even Max was like, if somebody had to beat me, it had to be Lando.
Yeah. He'd only be happy if it was Lando.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Incredible.
We have this whole team. I love this thing. I just like, it's just amazing. Just so amazing for the whole team. It's a whole team win.
Yes. And Fred showed up at this team celebration with a backwards McLaren hat on his head, spraying champagne, which I love. Fred is such a jokester. He's great.
And then the one we talked about all the drivers following up. So if you're not watching, please go to YouTube and check this out. If you haven't seen all these pictures, just to see Carlos and Danny and Fernando and Charles and what do you have here? Max and just everybody just coming. I think that is Ocon. Just everybody just coming up and hugging him and congratulating him, and just everybody was clearly. I don't think there's any driver on the grid that every driver is happy for, other than Lando. Yeah,
amazing. And I kept saying, where's my Carlando moment? I need my Carlando moment. And I got it. It did not disappoint. They didn't show Lewis. He pulled up alongside Lando in their cars and was like clapping and giving thumbs up and the whole 9 yards. Max did the same. I think there were other drivers that pulled up alongside. Carlos did for sure. Maybe it was Charles. But everybody was so excited for him. In the media, they were excited for him. The other
and look at
principals were excited for. That's the thing is all. And he said at one point, like, I can't stop smiling.
Mm-hmm.
That smile all the way through. The other thing he said was that, you know, he laughed at the whole Lando no wins that people had been calling him, and that kind of caught on. And he said anytime he saw it online, he would go and like it because he thought it was hysterical. And he said he loves being able to prove those people wrong. So
there's like 110 races, right?
Yeah. 15 podiums.
And he, up until today, he was the driver with the most number of podiums without a win.
Yeah. Was he?
I think that's what they were saying.
Oh, that could be. Oh my gosh.
Or something like that. Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Finally.
And we got a couple more. Oh. And then what he said is they did it, thanks mom, thanks dad, and this is for grandma. Oh,
yes.
I'm almost going to cry again.
Yes.
Just the sweetest thing.
Oh, the radio messages at the end. There were 3 different ones that they shared. The first one with him and Will as engineer was so sweet. And then the second one was more about like, just, I can't believe this. And that was the message that I love the most is he said he woke up Sunday morning and said, there's so many opportunities, something to that effect. Like I knew this day would have a lot of opportunities, and he kind of went on and I thought, I'm so glad it happened.
I'm so glad. And we got to, just to see it, to be there, to witness it. And this is the last one I have on. There were just too many to pick from, but I just love this one. The iconic, there he is in Parc Ferme at position 1.
Yeah.
And that's it, which a funny story. I didn't grab it, but they showed in the after meetings when they all go sit on like the couch, what they use for the press conferences, that Max accidentally sat in the position 1 because he's so used to sitting there. And they said Charles was laughing at him and telling him, you need to move over, dude. That's not your seat.
Right? Exactly. I was a little worried. Like Max, did he know on the podium where to go? He doesn't usually stand in second, but he was so smiley because he's been in that position over the last few years where he's not been on top, and he wasn't very smiley. He looked very surly. And yesterday he was smiling.
So happy.
Yeah, he was so happy. And I loved that Max and Charles just teamed up and sprayed Lando with champagne, like just doused him. He couldn't see.
I know. At one point I was worried it was burning his eyes. He was down for a while rubbing his eyes.
Yeah.
But then he got back to it.
Got back to it. He finally popped his champagne bottle, and
just amazing.
I know.
I could spend the entire episode talking about Lando.
For sure. Right? Oh my
Okay.
goodness.
So what should we do next? We've got liveries and lids and
let's
race.
do those.
Okay,
because those are fun too. So
all right, we'll go back.
Miami never disappoints. Everybody comes with not everybody. There's actually drivers like Lando. Last year had a great beach ball themed helmet. I was kind of surprised he did not bring a helmet this year.
Me too.
Maybe he'll have one at Silverstone.
Now I went a little overboard on Ferrari because there's been so much talk about the Ferrari blue.
And again, go to our YouTube.
Because there's some pictures. So you've got the team first. You've got the whole team in that light blue kind of mechanics shirt.
Yeah.
And I thought it was funny. To me, this is like reminds me of my band photos. They're all up in the stands and they're taking a picture. And then in the darker blue, the pit crew, because during the sprint race, the pit crew was still in red, which I thought was.
Were they? I thought
or at least during the
all weekend.
I swear I saw them in, maybe I'm hallucinating. I
they
thought they
were
were in red part of it. But anyway, here they were in the blue. I thought this was amazing. It was the deeper blue.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we've got a lot of memes going around about this is the blue we expected for the livery, which was these gorgeous Ferraris that they brought into town. And the guys did their photo shoots with just Ferraris I would love to get my hands on.
Right. Yeah. We talked about this last week where
we were expecting.
Carlos had the Dino blue, the Ferrari that they were going to drive to and from the track, and Charles had the Enzo.
And we thought that this was going to be indicative of their livery, that we were going to have this really beautiful blue Ferrari.
They spent so much time talking about it in the marketing video or the videos that they were posting online.
Even showing the car being painted and everybody's wearing blue, and we got
red.
with hints of blue, and you counted how many HP logos?
I think there were 15 HP logos all over it. I don't like the HP logo on the back wing at all.
It's too many. It's almost like how many times can we just go stamp, 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 stamp?
It's way too many, but I guess they have to pay for Lewis and maybe Adrian. We'll see. But this was disappointing. I think there was a collective when this was released, and I think in part because of the hype that they put around it. We didn't put that hype around it. They put around it with Charles and Carlos going in and meeting with the design team and talking about the car and showing us all the shirts and everything. Yeah, what were we supposed to think?
Yeah, agreed. Oh,
disappointing.
My gosh.
They could have done so much. This could have been so epic, and they blew it. They blew it.
Keep your cute face in. Okay, what else do we have next? Oh, and then we have their helmets, their lids. I like this one. I love
like
this deeper blue.
That's the Dino blue. And I love this one better than the lighter color.
Yeah.
I thought it looked great for Carlos. That deep blue with that red 55 on the top. And of course the HP logos.
Yeah, had to be there. And then Charles, I like this. I love the beach theme that he did.
I love the beach theme. So many people. Williams was out there. McLaren was out there taking pictures with these iconic lifeguard stands. I just loved all of those. I think it's beautiful. But this works well. His lighter color. He's still got his Monaco flag colors on top, which is just Charles. So I like that he kept that. But yeah, pretty.
And then Checo. I love the story behind the Checo one. I love that he put all the different representations of all the Hispanic nations on the top of his helmet. That was just amazing. When you told me about that, I just love that.
I think it's so neat.
You can see the pride in his face too. That picture. That's why I included that picture, because I just love the pride.
I think that's a big F you to Helmut Marko too. I just thought about that right now, because last year there was that the stuff that he had said about Latinos and Latin countries and stuff. So
that's a good point.
I just thought about that right now. I didn't even think about that before. But also he did incorporate, Checo did incorporate some Florida into it. So the whole front is like
alligator skin.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. All right. And then we have the V-carb livery.
Best livery out there too.
It's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. I had just the card, but then when I found this that F1 had shared, that you get into the details of the front wing and all that, I had to show this because I just love those colors. And like you said, it is so Miami. And when you were going down the track, I mean, of course, Visa is one of the sponsors. You had those same colors, and it just looked like it belonged.
Yes.
It looked like it should be there.
It looks so good. It stood out. You knew exactly who it was. I loved it. See, why couldn't Ferrari have done something iconic? This was great. Very, very good surprise from V-Carb.
I loved it. And then our V-Carb drivers, we had Danny Rick. I love that they had this V-Carb wash. They had the V-Carb wash.
Oh, for their launch of their livery. I loved that. Yeah, they did a great job. I mean, his helmet, I don't think
pictures just made it difficult. Yeah, I couldn't find anything better other than him being in the car. And it was these are his pictures that he shared.
I know.
You need a better photographer, dude.
Hard to see.
Because you go over to Yuki's and wow, that just pops.
It does. And again, I love Yuki keeps his leaves on there. He just changes the colors up. And
I love the neon. It's just so vibrant. It's so Miami. Just a more vibrant one.
It's amazing. I love this too. I wish I actually should have done more research on this, but I believe this is a French artist that Esteban worked with to create this helmet. And he teased a helmet last week. We mentioned it on the podcast, but I love it. I love the graffiti look.
I do too. And that's why I blew them up of the pictures from his thing, because he had all these fun poses and him standing there doing fun stuff. I'm like, no, I really wanted to focus in on this graffiti and his number on top, because it's beautiful. And, being in Germany, graffiti is that. It is art. It's not considered a nuisance. It's not considered an indicative of a bad area of town. It's literally art. Yeah. And that's Europe. So I love that. I thought that was really cool.
Nice job.
I think we are moving on to, we got one more, and I think we're moving into the F1 Academy. Nico. I just classic Miami. Oh my gosh, Miami Vice.
He screams Miami Vice to me.
He does.
He just has that look. And so it works so well. And I thought, perfect. Love it.
I had fun laying out those pictures.
Love it.
I was like, yeah.
His is another one. If you really scroll in and look at the detail, like it's amazing, the detail. I don't think that it shows very well. But if you zoom in, you can really see the design on it.
I love
But
those
very
silver,
nice.
those silver loafers
Oh my gosh.
he's wearing. Oh my gosh.
It's so on brand.
He's
That's all I
like,
can say.
Eat your heart out, Don Johnson.
Yes.
For you young people out there, go look it up.
Yeah.
Just
He
saying.
did good. Very, very nice job.
Awesome. All right. And now into our females. We had two
Yes.
from F1 Academy. This is Leah Blocks.
Yep. So she's an American driver, if you're not aware. And so she brought a special lid this week for their round 2 of F1 Academy. And I love it. It's got all kinds of stuff on it.
Yeah, I forget the name of the artist, but it's really beautiful.
Oh, I feel like I should know who this is. And I don't.
And I
it's
just
the
grabbed
bottom
the
part
pictures.
that I think I should know who this is. And why am I drawing a blank? I have no idea. Hang on while you're doing that.
Well, and then the really cool one, going to Bianca Bustamante's, I fell in love with this one. And she was so excited because she said it incorporated 2 of her favorite things, waves and the Aurora Borealis.
Yes.
Of course, it's got the Google logo in there. And Charlotte, I can never say Tilbury. Her logo, as you can see it kind of in the lipstick is in there.
Is it because she doesn't drive that car?
No, but she must have some sponsorship because I saw the unless I'm losing my mind, but I saw that there's like a little lips and lipstick thing on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's there it is. Yeah. That's her thing.
Huh.
Yeah, they're all absolutely beautiful.
Death Spray for helping me bring it to.
Yeah, Death Spray. That was it.
Cool.
Yeah, so those are our lids and just really cool. Again, I love that she got the Aurora Borealis in there.
I loved that one. I was like, again, this is just perfect for. Nice job, Bianca.
Yeah.
Yay.
So, where do we go now? Should we talk F1 Academy before we get
let's talk
F1
the
Academy?
ladies.
It was so much fun watching them this weekend.
Right?
It was so cool.
We watched every part.
Yeah,
Practices,
practice, quali. I love the way they did their quali. That their fastest time sets race 1. Their second fastest time sets race 2.
Yeah.
And boy, Abby Pulling.
She was on it this weekend.
On fire.
Oh my gosh, she was so good. I mean, in practice, was it practice? We were like, her and Dorian Pond were going back and forth, and I thought this is what it's going to be like. But from qualifying on, it was all about Abby. She did an amazing job.
And the fascinating thing, they all drive the same car.
Yeah.
So it's not like F1 where the engineers and the constructors are actually building the car and they have different, tweaks and whatnot. They're all driving the same car. So that just shows you that skill.
Yeah.
On that, and it's something to do with the track and how they can manage their tire deg and whatnot. But she was on point.
Incredible. And they didn't do that many laps for the race and stuff.
13.
So it's like they were not doing pit stops or anything like that. Yeah, it was really, really awesome.
It was fascinating. Of course, they had a wild card, so they're really trying to get that more encouraging in the local area. So we had an American in the race for this because they're in America.
Yep.
So that was really, really awesome.
Incredible.
Yeah, it was. And then you had a new livery this week too, because it was the American Express livery,
Express bought. Yep. So that used to be the F1 Academy livery, and it switched to American Express. And they did a really great launch with that. I thought that was awesome. Like they really made a big deal about it. And yeah, I mean, who is it? Lola Lovenvoss. She's in the Charlotte Tilbury car. She did not have a great race too.
No, she went up for injuries after the second race.
She did. She sprained her wrist. Is that what I said?
I think that's what she sprained her wrist.
So she had to go to the hospital.
And then I should know her name because she drives the Aston Martin livery, but she DNF'd both races.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Why am I blanking on her name?
Yeah, so she DNF'd both races. So we've got, again, on our YouTube, you can go to f1academy.com and see. We've got all of their race results. It's interesting how they produce their results, but you see Pulling, Pon, and Chambers were 1, 2, and 3.
That was another great one. So Chloe also is an American driver, and I feel like last year she was just kind of there. So I loved seeing her get up on the podium. That was incredible.
That was.
Good job, Chloe.
That was.
Very exciting for her. And then same with the race 2 is you had Bianca up there. So Pulling and Pont were both on the podium for both races, but I liked having.
Yeah, and Chloe was close. She was P4.
Yeah, that was exciting. There was some really good racing. Yeah. There was several times they were 3 across. I mean, they were
good overtakes. It was good. It's some really good lap times. It was, I mean, for those being slower cars.
Yeah.
You know, they got sub 2 minutes, and it was some really good racing.
Yeah.
So
I really enjoyed it. Their next race is in Barcelona. We'll be there. So we can't wait.
I'm excited.
Cannot wait to watch them.
And you and I were talking about it. It was disappointing to see the stands weren't as full during their races. And I just don't understand. Those tickets were not cheap. And to get that exciting of racing there and to be able to witness that, I loved hearing the sounds too.
I know. The car sounds.
Yeah, the sound of
because I was telling Claire, like when you're there in person, F1, F2, F3 cars, I've not heard what the F1 Academy cars sound like, but there's a distinct sound to the cars. And so even if you haven't gotten to your seat yet and you hear cars on track, you get to a point where you're like, oh, that's, that constant like backfire. Those are the F3 cars, or this is the F2 car. You kind of know who's on track. So I'm really excited. Our butts will be in our seats. We will be watching
the whole time.
F1 Academy. I'm so excited to see the ladies race in person.
Well, we have their standings. So Pulling is in first place, followed by Pon. And then Veg is in third right now. So
she did. She started off pretty well.
Yeah, she did. And then she just she stayed pretty close for the 2 races, but just didn't quite pull a podium out of either race.
Yeah.
But as you said, Barcelona's next. You can see they've got the 7 races across the season. So,
yeah. And they won't have to wait too long. There was a big wait between round 1 and round 2.
Yeah, because it was Jeddah.
Yeah, yeah. And so we've only got a little more than a month before Barcelona. So they won't be waiting too long.
So very exciting. All right, well, let's get into it. So F1 this weekend, aside from all the excitement from McLaren, it was a sprint week. So we had a sprint race. And the sprint was, drastically different, I think, in some cases than how the race turned out. You had...
Oh, yeah.
McLaren came into the sprint going, we're not performing that well. And even though McLaren Lando's car was completely new.
Yes.
All new, full upgrades. And Oscar only had half upgrades. And then Danny, where do you want to start? I'm all over the place now.
Yeah, I think, even with a sprint weekend, we only have 1 practice. Charles did not start out well because somehow he spun his car in practice, and it's so narrow because Miami is a temporary circuit and it's a street circuit. Where he spun, he didn't hit anything, so that was good, but he couldn't get it out. So he missed all of the 1 practice that they had this weekend.
Yeah, he didn't even get a good lap in.
No, he didn't. So that was a little crazy. And then sprint quali was that afternoon.
Yeah.
And Daniel was showing out. I guess let's start with V-Carb. Daniel in practice and sprint, the quali and the sprint.
Yeah, because he qualified P4 and he finished P4.
Yep.
He got some points. And I was like,
Carlos couldn't pass him.
I was like, Danny's going to do some stuff because they brought some upgrades to him last week.
Yeah.
And
new chassis.
He got the new chassis. And I thought, okay, well, while he had the 3-place grid penalty going into the race, he's showing good P4. Maybe he pulls that off in quali and he's going to be able to do something. And then, no.
He was all about it for P4. V-Carb was posting he's never left. That's a Daniel quote if you don't know.
And then the whole kiki.
Yes.
Just having a great time.
Yes. And it was one sprint race. Let's not go crazy. And that's just me generally. I'm not going to be I'm back. It's one race. And he was out in Q1 for the Grand Prix qualifying. Did not look good.
And he was P18 or P17? whatever it was, but then he had
was
the
out in
3-place
Q1
grid penalty.
from the last race.
Yeah, which put him last place.
And he could not seem to make up ground.
No.
Like even at the beginning, he was 20th for the longest time, and then he started to come up a little bit. But Yuki finished 7th.
Yeah, your little global treasure.
My little global treasure. He's going to quietly do his business.
He quietly did his thing. You didn't
What
hear
is that
much
thing
out of him?
that they're saying now? Like stand on business. That's Yuki.
Yeah,
that's Yuki. He finished 7th.
he got some more.
He's
points.
back to Daniel out beat him once.
Yeah, just once this season.
Yeah, so more points. They had double points because Yuki did finish in the points thanks to some maneuvering, right?
Yeah.
Or was he already in the points for the sprint? So they had double points for the sprint, and then Yuki finished 7th in the race. So they are building up a nice little
slowly, quietly getting up there.
Yeah, for sure. Because that money at the end of the year for those teams that are like mid to the bottom, that's going to be major. And you need Daniel to score points. Like, come on, he's Daniel Ricciardo. It should not be a big deal that he got 4th place.
Yeah, right.
It shouldn't. It just shouldn't.
Especially he's a former Grand Prix champion, so he should. I mean, come on.
Yes. Yeah. So
should we do Williams or Sauber? Because they're both had kind of.
Let's do Sauber. They'll be quick. So.
What do you say?
Valtteri almost hit.
Yeah.
Almost hit Oscar during sprint qualifying.
Joe almost hit somebody too. They both
right.
Yeah, they both had issues.
Yeah. Did Joe hit somebody?
I think he actually did.
Yeah, I think he did too. But what I think is interesting, and I need details, is Valtteri has had a brand new engineer for this race this weekend.
Yes.
And
his comment.
Well, hang on, because what was his comment?
He made some comment about, he needed some warning or whatnot, because there was one of the things where he almost did the hit. He was almost like
he was not happy about that.
Yeah, he was not happy. Like he needed some notice. He needed some warning, whatnot. And the commentators were like, well, it is his first time working with this engineer, and they just got to get their groove.
Yeah.
You would think that's a basic thing.
I mean, I don't know where we got this guy, but it didn't sound like Valtteri knew he was losing his engineer.
Yeah, it was like a sudden thing, which is
I want to know why.
Yeah, we need the tea.
We need the
Somebody
tea.
share the tea if you know the tea.
Yes, we need the tea, because to show up at a racetrack.
Oh, what an interesting way to go into your race weekend, that both seats were available, and now one seat is definitely taken by someone else.
And
now you're both having to potentially compete for the remaining seat.
Yeah. Well, I don't think either one of them sold me on giving them the seat.
No.
Based on this weekend, you did not sell me on keeping the seat, because, I mean, Valtteri's he couldn't really help that. Otherwise, how did he do? I feel like he kind of goes up and down. Joe was just not on my board at all.
And Joe is he's just kind of in I thought he was doing really well, and then it just kind of tapered off. I mean, he's kind of been riding low and quiet all since last year and into this year.
Yeah.
I really feel, watching the different guys, give their predictions of seats next year, Joe is not in any of the predictions, and I kind of agree.
He's not. Which makes me sad.
I know.
Because I don't think and I've said this in many podcasts, but I don't think he's had the opportunity to show what he can do. But yeah, I don't know. But let's talk about Williams. Like, poor Williams. Ay. If they had, what's that saying? If they didn't have bad luck, they'd have no luck at all. I mean, come on. So they did terrible in qualifying for both, right? So at the sprint race, they finished at the. Oh, wait a second.
No, because
Logan got up
there.
Alex did terrible. He did not look good, and so he actually started the sprint race from the pits because they realized there was some discrepancies in his setup and the balance, and so they were basically using that as a test for Alex.
Oh, no,
but in the sprint, Sargent did all right.
No, actually, he was 19th in the qualifying results in the sprint.
Oh, he was?
But he finished
Oh, that's
high,
what it was.
which was really crazy. Is he
Yeah.
actually finished 10th?
Well, we had some people leave the
Yeah,
sprint. So.
yeah, true. So,
but he did finish 10th.
He did finish.
If it was a race, he would have got a point, but it's a sprint, so only the top 8 get points.
Yeah, so that's the thing. If that's what's like, oh, points. Oh no, that's sprint. So he finished 10th, but we had two DNFs.
Yeah. So in the race, I think Alex, he finished what, 12th or something. Maybe with the change with signs, but poor Logan. This is another one where I feel like things just don't work in his favor, and he is not on any of the boards to come back. Yeah.
Albin got 18th.
Yeah.
In the race.
Oh, that's lower than I thought.
And Sargent didn't finish because, well, again,
Kevin Magnussen, who we'll talk about in just a second. Because, I mean, we need a whole segment for Kevin Magnussen's antics this weekend. He's a full-on menace. But, yeah, I mean, his home race, which Logan did not have a special helmet.
Which was shocking.
Which was weird. It makes me sad. Initially, I thought he doesn't have a special helmet because Kimmy's coming for his seat before Imola, which is the next race, not this weekend, but next weekend. And
James said no.
James said no. Toto said no. But we know that the FIA did receive a request to give him his license or to let him race, but everybody's saying no.
Which is interesting because he turns 18 in August.
Yeah.
So that means you want him to race before the summer break.
Yeah. Why would you go through the hassle of asking F1 or the FIA to let him race
before the summer break? Why not just wait till after the summer break?
Good question. See, this is why I don't believe that. I don't believe James. I hate to say it. I love James, and I think he's very transparent, but I don't believe him.
I do think it was interesting when every time they would have something bad, forget what about it might have been when Sargent spun out. The commentators are like, James is keeping that face until the cameras pan away.
I just felt bad for Logan, though. It's his home race, and he wasn't doing, I mean, he did all right in the sprint, but was not doing awesome. And then to have Kevin take you out, like, that was it. And it hit the back. The car hit the back end against the wall, which is where your power unit is and everything is. And I'm sure the team was just like,
you're out.
FML. FML. Or as Daniel would say, FEA. FEA. If you don't know, go look it up. I just felt horrible for him. And even I think James, he was on the plane he was already on the plane. Like he was not sticking around Miami. Yeah. And so said Williams, it was just another bad weekend.
So Williams remained one of the only 2 teams with no points.
Yeah.
And
that's all they want is points. But they have a 3rd chassis. Don't think they need to replace Logan's car completely, but they have a new chassis. So that means that they can start moving forward with some of the upgrades that they thought they were going to have brought by now, but because they were down to chassis, they couldn't do it. Yeah. So now they can start concentrating on that, and we'll see what happens. But this is just a building year, in my opinion.
Yeah, and they're ranked 9th right now in constructor. Sauber's the only one lower than because they're actually, because of Albon, they're performing a little better on average. So that's interesting. But
I mean, you're not going to get a whole lot of money.
No, because they were, I think, 7th last year. So we'll see what they can do. But the year's not over. They were struggling at the beginning of last year too. We'll see.
It's not. But I mean, do we think they'll keep Logan throughout the year?
No.
That was fast.
No. I don't think so. I mean, I think James is struggling. I think he's struggling to keep him because he wants to commit. But he clearly said they need to keep the car and make the car better for Albon because they need to make it competitive for him. He literally said that.
Yeah.
He did not mention Logan at all in that conversation.
Oh, that's so
it was
true.
more, we have to keep making this car competitive for Albon because he is our driver. He's our driver, and he's the one that's going to get us there.
Yeah.
So, Logan was not even...
I didn't even think about that, but that's such a good point. And that was James's whole thing about Kimi, like bringing in Kimi Antonelli from Imola on, is he said, it's not just a short-term thing. Like you have to have a driver with that's here for 2 years with the new regulations that are coming in. And I don't know if Mercedes would want to have Kimi there for 2 years. Like 2.5 years essentially if he did come in. So I don't know where that does leave them.
No.
Maybe they asked for it and they're working stuff out. There's rumors that, about Sainz still going to Mercedes, but I could see Toto just saying you get a 1-year contract, which stinks because if he doesn't go to Sauber, I think that leaves him in a very precarious position at the end of 2025 if he doesn't have a multi-year contract. Because drivers are signing multi-year contracts. And if Nico got a 3-year contract at Sauber,
exactly,
the other driver is going to have a multi-year contract.
Yeah, and Sainz is a better driver than Nico.
Yes. Oh,
by far.
By far.
By far.
I think so, too.
So should we talk about Haas? So
Kevin
Magnussen just was laid out there. 65 seconds worth of penalties this weekend.
I'm just going to say I called that.
You did.
While we were watching the race, I said to Claire, I'm like, he's going to have more than a minute, or I said a minute, I think. He's going to have a minute worth of penalties.
It was 65. He got 35 seconds during the sprint, 3 10-second penalties, and a 5-second penalty. And then during the race, he got a 20-second penalty and a 10-second penalty. They did not get him on unsportsmanlike, but now he has, and his penalty started this year, in March of this year. He's already amassed 10 points on his super license. So he's 2 points away from 12, which means a 1-race ban. Yeah.
Which I still don't think he will get that. I think they'll do what they did to Pierre when Pierre was 1 point away from getting a ban and he was caught speeding in the pit lane multiple times, which is an automatic penalty. Never gave one to him. They bent over backwards. They twisted it into pretzels to make sure that Pierre did not get that final. So I think it would have to be egregious, but
the way he's going, how are they going to do that till March of next year? Because he doesn't get a point fall off until March of next year. And the way I read the rules, I could be reading it wrong, is that once he has the 1-race ban, all the points go away. So it would reset his 12 points. Yeah. So he may be like, yeah, give me the 2 points. We reset, and then did you get 12 points again? So
I think that's my.
I mean, he's not earning any points anyway.
He's not necessarily doing anything wrong the way he's holding off cars for Nico. I don't think he's happy anymore that he's the one that's taking the brunt of all of this stuff, and Nico's like getting all the praise. He definitely wasn't happy that Nico got him, off of his DRS because that did not help Kevin either. But so we'll see if he continues to play that game, but he's not apologetic for playing it. No, and he's not wrong because it's not really necessarily violating any. He's ruining people's races and he's ruining people's cars, but
because it's the complete difference between Stroll last race. That was like, I didn't do anything wrong. It's just part of the bunch up or whatever he called it, and blah blah blah, and still hasn't apologized for all of that, which took out people, and he suffered very little impact for that. And, Danny ends up with a 3-place grid penalty because he didn't serve his 10 seconds, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then you have Magnussen who comes out and just tells the reporter, the penalty is fair. Yeah, I did it. Helping out the team.
Yeah.
Do it again, basically. Yeah. Just totally, completely different attitude about it. Yeah. Just very, very matter of fact, nondescript.
Yep. I think if he does keep going this way, I think the team principals are going to start to say, like, Pierre speeding in a pit lane is hurting Pierre and jeopardizing the safety of people in the pit lane, but still at the same time, like, he's not affecting other teams with that. So maybe that's where the principals come in and say, he needs to sit at home. And then Ollie could jump in. I'm assuming another driver can take the place.
I would think so. Yeah.
Ollie gets a free ride.
Ollie earned the points. He's already in the driver's head. Higher than several other drivers right now.
Still, and we're 6 races in, and he only raced 1 time. Yeah. Ollie.
All right. Well, that's Haas. Who do we have next?
Alpine.
They were doing better this year. They finally got their car under the weight limits. So
nice. I didn't realize.
Yeah, they said that they got their car within the weight limits.
I think that's 5 races.
I think
that's preseason testing.
I think that's one of the reasons why they performed better this week.
Yeah,
but you and I both were on the edge of the seats when they were side by side all during lap 1. Oh my gosh! I'm like, it's Australia all over.
Yes, an
Australia order.
entire lap they were wheel to wheel. I think I saw a thing where the Alpine admin, it's just a bunch of letters on their social media, like when that was happening. But I mean, they were not letting it go at all. And finally, Pierre got ahead, but Ocon was the one that ended up with the point. So he got their first point of the season. So maybe there's now starting to head in the right direction. That team has got to be celebrating.
I would love
like
to hear the
crazy.
principal or the radio between those two during that time. Like they were just like, back off, stop it. You know,
We should be able to listen to
we should
that,
go find
right?
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That was just,
I
was
don't think
insane.
either one was ever going to back off. I mean, Ocon always used to have, with every, as far as I know, every teammate. He did that with Fernando constantly when Fernando was his teammate, and he won't back off. He doesn't care. He'll take you both out. I mean, I'm not saying Pierre's not guilty, because I think Pierre also won't give in, but yeah.
Yeah. So at least they showed some stuff. So
yeah, so maybe they're on the
maybe
climb.
Aston Martin, I feel they pulled a Canada.
What is going on with that?
I don't know. It just, they're like, they did some tweaks and we're back to just mediocre. I mean, I appreciate Fernando talking about staying with the long haul. He sees a lot of potential and whatnot, but they've got to quit. They feel like they're shooting themselves in the foot. Every time they try to go better, they seem to set this, like, you know, the 2 steps forward, 3 steps back kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, definitely that first turn on the sprint didn't help.
No.
I know Hamilton came up the side. I don't think he could see everybody, but I still think that Lance was turning in on Fernando just as Lewis is coming up the side and Fernando's trying to get over. I think he would have hit Fernando anyways. He turned in. That's my opinion. But
where's our engineer there telling Lance, hey, your teammate's right there. You're about to take him out.
I don't think Lance listens.
No, I don't think he does
Lance
either.
takes everybody out.
Well, I think Lance
But it
almost is
ruined
trying to
Lando's
prove
race.
himself to be better, and you're hurting your teammate. You still need to help. I don't care if you're trying to prove yourself to be better or trying to prove your worth or whatnot. Then show your team, and it's your dad's team. So, and your dad's trying to sell off part of the team right now. It's not worth the thing if it's declining.
Right.
It's lowering in value if it's declining. So you need to. They just.
I don't know. They just did not look great. But Fernando, being the champion that he is, did the best that he could. Like brought that his car.
He got points.
He got points 9 or 8. He was 9th, right?
So he was 9th. He got 2 points.
Which is wonderful. Like that's why he's a champion. That's why he is who he is. So
I do like.
But Lance wasn't anywhere close to that. I don't think.
No, he was pretty far down. I do like his comment though at the beginning, and this brings me into like Red Bulls when Checo just did that quick start and just locked up and went across the whole field at the beginning of turn 1, and he's like, he just came at me like a bull.
Yeah. I mean, but Hamilton said, like, I saw it. He even, like, just after it happened, he told his engineer, like, I saw the opening and I just went for it. Like, I mean, that's the famous quote.
Yeah.
Are you a racer if you don't see it and take the opening? So, I mean, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, well, Lance was out the rest of that race.
Yeah,
the sprint. But he ruined Lando's. So, I mean, talk about a low for Lando is yikes.
It was not good. We had
not good.
It was not good. But, you know, we had because Alonso got second in the race. And then
Alonso got second in the race.
I mean, not second, ninth in the race, 2 points in the race.
Oh, in the race.
That's where the 2 came from. I wish he got second in the race.
Like what?
But he only got 17th in the sprint. It was interesting in the sprint though, because he was like just screwed in the sprint. That he did a really interesting thing talking about the champion he is and the strategist.
Yeah.
He came in on the last couple of laps, and they said he went in the sprint, and he went in. And he burned rubber into the pit lane because it's so dusty, and laid some rubber down in the pit lane.
Yeah. So for the rest of the weekend, he would have that because because of that dust, which you could see the dust all weekend. Bad. Like, but again, he's so
consummate
smart
strategist, man. He's like, well, I'm already here at the back of the pack. I'm not getting points.
Yeah.
might as well just go into the. I thought he was just going to retire the car, but they're like, no, he went and burned rubber, and he, I think they swapped tires because they have to when they go into the pit, and then he came back out.
So smart.
So smart.
He is so smart. But yeah, Lance was nowhere to be found.
Mercedes did pretty decent.
I mean, I feel like with Mercedes, I hear so much whining and like, and so I think they do horrible, but they don't.
At least they're not as doom and gloom this year as they were last year.
No, but I feel like they were kind of there, and then they just dropped. They're just kind of around. They're around.
At least Russell didn't do any weird "let me crash" at the end of the race kind of
things. No, I mean, I think they were both around. I think Lewis was definitely going for it whenever he could, whenever he had the chance. He was really.
Yeah, they didn't do anything really in the sprint, but in the race they finished 6th and 8th, so
not bad.
Not too bad.
Was Hamilton 6th?
Yeah, Hamilton was 6th and Russell was 8th.
Yeah, definitely Lewis did better, and he was really trying to go after people. I love that Yuki's right in between those Mercedes.
That me too. But it's really interesting if you look at the difference. Just the difference even in the colors. It's really easy to see on the app. You have Mercedes and Aston Martin, and none of them had got any points and were down on the bottom half of the grid during the sprint, but then several of them were on the top half of the grid during the race. Like it really was topsy-turvy between the sprint and the race. And you had, I mean, Lando didn't even finish the sprint.
No.
And then he wins the race.
I know.
That's diametrically different from P20 to P1.
Yeah. That's what makes it so amazing, like for Lando, because I mean, and he didn't have any control over what happened to him in the sprint race, but like to go from a horrible day, not your fault, to winning, how incredible is that? I love it.
And then Red Bull, Red Bull was Red Bull. I mean, Max won the sprint,
but he seemed to struggle most of the weekend.
He did talk about he was struggling with the grip, though every car was struggling with the grip.
Every car was struggling with the grip.
But he talked about it a lot. He struggled with the steering. He talked about the steering. He hit that pole during the race.
Oh my gosh. Well, we didn't know he hit the pole, but we were watching, and I said, there's something, like you could see something round. It didn't look like it was that big from the angle that we saw, but I was like, there's something on the track. And at first they said, well, I guess you can't stop the race to go get it because like it's not on the racing line, but then it moved into the racing line. And then we saw the video of him just taking it out. And then the presser afterwards, he was like, well, we did some crash testing and the front wing is strong. And then it was gone. And so everybody, the drivers could just go through there.
I love the memes that have that pole. They're like the true winner of the race.
Yeah.
The true MVP of the race.
I mean, he hit that pretty good, and then it went flying off. But yeah,
it's like it didn't. People were saying it's like he didn't go into like the intake of the car, and there's things that could have done that really could have just wrecked that car. But yeah, I mean, they did say, I read earlier today that they reported that he had floor damage.
Yes, I did hear that,
which could have impacted his performance some as well. But even Perez, Perez was P4, but he was only P4 because of Sainz's penalty. Otherwise, he was P5.
Yeah. And I kind of feel like both of them, they're Red Bull. They do well, but they weren't like Red Bull, like way, way, way out there.
Even in the sprint, he was only ahead of Leclerc by 3.3 seconds.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even like
he didn't seem comfortable. Max for sure didn't seem comfortable. And Sergio, I don't know. I didn't really pay much attention to him this weekend.
So that leaves us.
Who was it that I asked if they were even there? Do you remember? At one point, I was like, was he even there this weekend? Was it George?
Probably George, yeah.
Like, was he there? Didn't hear anything.
Didn't hear much till he came out and reported
Lando.
Then there's Ferrari.
Oh, Ferrari. It was again, I think, kind of an up and down sort of weekend. With Charles doing whatever he did and couldn't get his car out in practice, but then he came back and did awesome in sprint qualifying and on the podium twice. He walked away with 2 trophies, and Carlos had, Checo almost hitting him, because here's the thing. During the race, Carlos had a great getaway. Charles did not. I was like, what happened to Charles? I have no idea. But Carlos followed Max right up and he was in second until Checo at that turn went right by him and nearly took out Max, nearly took out Carlos. And then Carlos dropped back to fifth or fourth at that point. And I mean, it was
he had so much
hard
better
race.
pace. I think I'm really upset that team orders or whatnot that they just didn't let him pass
at
because
the beginning of that race.
Yeah, because
he did.
I think that it would have been a better outcome.
I think it would have been interesting to see what had happened because I kept saying repeatedly the joys of watching a race in person with an F1. I mean, with a Ferrari fan is even Carlos was on the radio saying, you know, I've got pace here. And then he said later, like, are we going to try for anything at the front? And I'm like, why not just give it to him? He's right on Charles' rear end. Let them swap and give him so many laps to catch up with. I think it was Oscar at that point.
Yeah, I think
wasn't
it was.
And then if it doesn't work out, they can switch back. But Charles definitely did not have the pace, and he was inconsistent. And I don't know if he was just trying to watch his tires because I know the grip and everything else was not great, but he'd be 0.8 and then he'd be 0.5 and, you know, behind Oscar. And it was just like, I get it. He probably was trying to watch the tires, but still, like, let Carlos go through. And
then Oscar was up there pretty good. And then
Oscar, I think, had the worst luck.
He did because
he was up there.
He was up there, and I think they were so close to having both McLarens on the podium.
Yes, yeah.
I really think there was a possibility of that.
I think there was some other things that went wrong, and then timing, the safety car, all that stuff, and then Carlos hitting Oscar.
Yeah,
kind of hit. Like, it was weird. I still think it was weird coming around that turn. It's like Carlos stopped and went again. And
even the steward said in his penalty that it would normally be a 10-second penalty and 2 points on his license, but there was, I forget how they worded it, but it was not entirely at fault or, whatever they marked as the collision. So they only gave him a half of a penalty, so 5 seconds. And 1 point. So, I mean, that's good because if they'd given him 5 more seconds, he would have dropped down below Hamilton and would have been 6th instead of 5th.
Wow. Yeah. So he did drop from 4th to 5th.
Yeah.
Which that does stink. And I know Ocon and Fernando had some battles, but I don't particularly remember those.
They did. And
I was too excited
he did with Gasly
Lando.
too, but I think after Gasly's pit, he couldn't recover because Gasly ended up in 12th. But Alonso got past Ocon. And then when Magnus's penalties, his 20-second penalty knocked him so far down, or he would have been up there. That's why everybody moved up one.
Yeah, that's craziness.
20-second penalty.
I think that Haas doesn't care. I think the principal said, we've had points in 5 out of 6 races, so that's more than they've had in a long time.
It's so unfortunate. Because KMag was, I think, in the points, and then they had to add 20 seconds there at the end, and so. But he didn't serve one of his penalties right, and I don't know.
But to me, like, some of those penalties, that's on the team.
Yeah.
Like, we talked about this yesterday. If you're not serving your penalty right, that's not on the driver. That's on the team.
Exactly.
What was the other one that I said, like, that's not on him?
Yeah, I forget what it was.
Hang on. We have a thing here. Oh, he left the track and got an advantage. He did that. I don't remember. There was something else, but there were 2 things that, he entered the pits during a safety car.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, maybe that's on him.
Yeah, and they didn't change his tires. So if they changed his tires, he would have been fine.
I think they changed the front wing.
Yeah, but they didn't change his tires.
Again, that's on the team.
That's
not on
They
Kevin.
should know the rules. Change the freaking tires.
That's basic F1 101. So those are team
and that was his 20-second
penalties,
penalty. That was the 20-second penalty. Was that one?
Yeah.
That was assessed
not
at the
Kevin.
end of the race. And that was
that's
assessed at the end of the race, which knocked him down.
Yeah. That I'd be mad about.
Yeah.
Because he's taking one for the team, all these, races blocking, and then to have the team screw you up, not once, but twice with penalties, like, that doesn't look good. And yet there's still a lot of conversation that Haas wants to keep Kevin Magnussen. I wouldn't.
Other than using him to be their bully.
Even then, like, no. So we'll see. We'll see.
Well,
But
to top it off, Lando.
Lando,
We have a week off.
the absolute best.
And
So
he's got
happy
this
for
whole
him.
week to celebrate. And
Yes, he did celebrate. He did not go. I don't think he went to bed last night. They were all at Club 111, I think it is. And if you haven't seen those videos, go watch them. Max dancing.
we
He's
went over
the
this. We got all of
fist pump guy.
all the standings from the sprint, and then we talked about the race. People want to come, you can pause to read our driver standings. So those are the latest that were updated after.
Yes, Lando's catching Carlos.
Yeah, especially after that penalty, because that took him. He lost.
Oh, then he's probably.
Yeah, he's got. Lando is above him now, I think.
Yeah, he must.
Lando's
be.
in fourth. Yeah, Lando is in fourth.
Do we think Lando can win again this year? I feel like with the
think he
upgrades that the McLaren had, I think Max was a smidge scared.
Yeah, I think he
We'll
can.
see what happens with both cars. Because even Oscar, with having half the upgrades, was looking really good until things just kind of got out
I think
of
McLaren has a
his
chance
control.
of overtaking Ferrari too in the constructor.
Yeah, they could.
Yeah.
That I'm not down with. We gotta bring it. But we have a week off, like you said, and then we have Imola. So that's a home race for Ferrari.
And then
Technically a home race, I think, still for V-Carb.
Is it Vettel that's going to be driving Ayrton Senna's car?
He is at
Yeah,
Imola.
at Imola.
Yes. Oh, that's going to be awesome. I'd love to see
Because it's a
Seb,
30-year 30-year remembrance of his death. So
Oh my goodness. I love to see Seb anytime he wants to show up at a track. So
it's such a beautiful thing. He's going to be driving his car. So
I know.
That's going to be so cool.
I can't wait.
And we're recording again together.
Yes, next week. So next week we'll talk all about Imola, what to expect. Last year we didn't have the race there because of the flooding, so I'm sure everything hopefully is pretty much back together there.
Yeah. And then we will have probably some Orlando updates.
Probably
More Orlando updates. And we'll be together and we'll have some more fun. And that's about it for this week.
Yep, that's it.
We got it done in an hour. I'm shocked because there was so much.
Back to work.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye-bye. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe and leave a rating and a review. To stay up to date with She Loves the Grid and get all the behind-the-scenes content, you can follow us on Instagram at She Loves the Grid and on Facebook at facebook.com/She Loves the Grid. Thank you for joining us for the ride this week.